Today I'm going to be installing the Delta 4.6-inch stem riser. So the first thing we're going to do is take out this top bolt. So this is going to be what tightens up the headset. And we are not going to need this anymore. It's important to look at the spacing right here because you want to make sure that the spacing that you end up with is going to be about the same. It's not going to be as important for this particular riser, which is actually what makes this one nice, but it is something to keep in mind. So that should be able to come off now. Now I'm just going to prep the riser. So this one's kind of fancy. It just has this little cap that is also a nut that just comes off. And the actual bolt, you can see, is way down there. So that is going to be what actually tightens this down to the headset. So to install this, we're going to need a long Allen. So this one is about 4.5 inches long. And that just barely fits all the way down to that Allen. So make sure you got a nice long Allen. It's at least 4.5 inches long. So I'm going to pull the headset off. I'm going to check the spacing. I want to make sure this bolt is going to clamp onto the nut. So I'm going to pull one of these spacers off, and that looks a lot better. So put the handles back on, and then drop that down. At this point, you want to make sure you have good clearance for all the cables, especially at the height that you intend to run this at. Because if you go and turn the handlebar and it gets tight on the cables, you're going to have a real problem. So I'm actually going to go full height, and all I want to do right here, I want to line up these bolts with these bolts just so it looks clean. About there, and then I can tighten this one down. For a normal extender, you're not going to want to do that because the top bolt has to go all the way through the tube. But this one's nice because you don't have to worry about that. All I'm doing is locking this to this tube so that when I tighten these up, this is what's going to actually attach to the headset. And you want to have this tight. Your bike might have a torque spec for this. It's usually around 5 to 6 Newton meters, somewhere around there. But I'm just going with pretty tight. You don't want to go too tight because if you do, you could snap this, and that would not be great. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten down that top bolt, and I want to try to get that so that there's no slop in this headset. That's all I'm doing here. I'm not really tightening it like cranking it or anything like that. I just want to make it tight enough that there isn't going to be any rattling or play going on in the headset whenever we get done. So you can grab the front brake, try to rock it back and forth and feel for play. You can also try to turn the fork back and forth. Make sure that there isn't any grinding or friction going on. Once you got that to a comfortable feel, then it will be time to tighten down those stem bolts. Yeah, I think right about there. So these stem bolts are nice and thick. This uses a 6mm Allen. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to hold the tire straight, make sure that the handlebars are lined up, and then tighten down those stem bolts. And the last thing is just to put this cap back on top, and you can see it just threads on, and there is a hex in the top. I have to make that super tight, just so it's not going to fall off. So that is a nice tall extension. So finally, I'm going to have a bike where the handlebars are actually higher than the seat. Problem that you have whenever you're a tall rider. Very cool.